Welcome to the class where tech takes the lead. Adam Todd here with just what you need. Teachers everywhere, let's elevate the game. With digital tools, we'll never be the same. In this podcast, we'll uncover the trends, from apps to gadgets on which we depend. Connect with your students in ways so fresh, innovative minds put to the test. In this podcast, we'll uncover the trends, from apps to gadgets on which we depend. Connect with your students in ways so fresh, innovative minds put to the test. Classroom dynamics where we all unite. Education future shining bright, with Adam Todd guiding us through. Teachers paradise coming true.
Classroom Dynamics is supported by Logitech. As education continues to evolve, so does Logitech Education, your partner in content creation for the classroom. With Logitech's cutting-edge technology, students not only learn but also become content creators. Whether it's in person or online, Logitech's tools are designed to inspire educators and learners alike. Capture every educational moment in stunning detail and edit, produce, and share your creative journey with ease. Logitech Education, inspiring the next generation of creators. For more, visit logitech.com/education, transforming classrooms one innovation at a time. Welcome to Classroom Dynamics, the podcast where we get into the exciting world of technology and education. Hi everybody, I'm your host Adam Todd, and on the show today, we're clicking our way into a tool that's reshaping the way students learn essential skills for the future. We're talking typing.com. And joining us is an expert who knows the EdTech landscape like the back of his hand and certainly the tips of his fingers. Dan Trepanier, the Vice President of Sales at Technology.com, brings over 15 years of experience as a dynamic sales leader in the education technology sector. Dan has spearheaded strategic initiatives at industry-leading companies like Raptor Technologies and Remind 101, driving remarkable growth and fostering invaluable partnerships with schools nationwide. His passion for empowering educators and students shines through his work, and today we'll hear how that passion connects with Typing.com's mission. Now, Typing.com isn't just about learning how to type. It's the world leader in keyboarding and digital literacy curriculum designed to prepare students for success in a digital-first world. From test preparation and creative writing to computer applications and coding basics, Typing.com offers a rich and versatile curriculum that meets the needs of today's learners. Stay tuned as we chat with Dan about how Typing.com is helping schools equip students with the tools they're going to need to succeed and explore how this innovative platform is making a difference in classrooms across the globe. And it's all next on Classroom Dynamics, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. AI can save teachers time, but what if it could do more? With Your Way, AI is built specifically for your school or district, aligning cutting-edge technology with your instructional goals, strategies, and vision. Empower teachers to personalize instruction, create engaging lessons, and implement innovative practices, all while saving time for what matters most. Why settle for one-size-fits-all AI? Customize and build your way safely and seamlessly. Discover AI that works your way at yourwaylearning.com. He's the Vice President of Sales at Teaching.com. It's my pleasure to welcome Dan Trepanier to Classroom Dynamics. Welcome to the show. I am so excited about this particular episode, so thank you for the time today.
Great. Thanks for having me on board. I look forward to the conversation.
So Dan, with over 15 years of experience in the EdTech sector, you've seen many tools come and go. What makes Typing.com stand out as a leader in keyboarding and digital literacy? And how does it address the evolving needs of today's students and educators, especially with coding and content creation now becoming such a huge part of curriculums around the world?
Yeah, there's been a little bit of a paradigm with students these days because there's the concept from administrators that students are very tech savvy. And they are, with their fingers, their thumbs on a device that they can touch and move things on the screen, like an iPad, for example, or a smartphone. They are very tech savvy on those things. However, schools and districts are giving students devices with keyboards. And then they're asking them to take tests, and they're asking them to do work on the device that they haven't trained them on. And so Typing.com helps fill in that gap by teaching the basics of keyboarding utilizing very small amounts of time, 15 minutes, 3 times a week. So it's a sub-curriculum, and it helps students really learn to prepare not only for the tests in school, but then life. When they go and get a job and are given a computer, they're not struggling after they graduate, or they go on to college and still have to continue using a keyboarding device. Beyond that, things like digital literacy, very important these days, internet security, creative writing, which they're going to run into when they get into high school, possibly middle school, depending on the district. So preparing them for all those phases of using a keyboard and what surrounds the keyboard is where we focus to help students, help teachers, and help administrators be successful.
It's funny you mentioned that. I just saw that this past week with fifth graders who I was proctoring a state practice exam. It was just a run through to get online, to know how to log in, to know how to click and use the tools. And then I saw a couple of the kids who were having a little bit of difficulty with the keyboarding part of it, which is not necessarily told to them in advance, where they actually had to write out an answer. And, I do keyboarding with my kids. So, it was painful to watch how slow they are. Yet others were flying through it, amazingly well, because they're just that much better at that particular skill. But it's a great point you brought up. It's the skill that it's not only needed for that test, but then what happens later on in life, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a continued skill. And we don't have typing classes like we had when I was in school. You don't need to have them. You can have a tool like typing.com and just incorporate it into the classroom at the elementary school level. Then by the time the student is in high school, they're proficient and they're ready to go.
So for teachers that are new to typing.com, or they've heard of it, they want to get involved in it, want to start it in their classroom, walk us through how educators can set up those classrooms, track student progress, customize the curriculum, just so that it fits what they need to do and also it fits the students' needs. How do they go about doing that?
Yeah, there's a couple of different ways. From a district and school level down, they can roster using any one of the tools that they're using today. Google Classroom, we're part of Google Classroom. Any type of single sign-on integration, we work with them all. We allow them to roster their students and then just sign on and go once they purchase a plan with typing.com. On the other end of the spectrum, the very simple end of the spectrum, a teacher can go to typing.com, go to the teaching tab, and sign up right there for just their classroom. If, say, it's not approved across a district or a school and they know they need it in just their classroom, they can sign up their 10, 15, 20 kids and keep it as simple as just everyone logging in. So everything from just going to the website and signing up all the way to rolling out a district-wide plan and everything in between.
And now let's go through it. They set it up. They want to get started. How do they actually do day one with the kids? Where do they go? What do they do?
Yeah, on the most simple side of things, the curriculum's built in and it meets ISTE Common Core state standards on just about every state in the US, even the ones like Texas that have TEKS and tech apps alignment. We align with all those curriculums. But right out of the gate, the curriculum's ready to go. It's all teed up for the student, all teed up for the teacher. Assignments are ready to go. Or ahead of time, they can go and customize the plan. They can rearrange the plan. They can build it however they want, integrate it however they want. So everything from right out of the box go to I want this specialized for my class, my school, my district.
And how does differentiation and self-directed learning all play a role in that?
Yeah, so the teacher has the option to allow the student to learn at their own pace or control that pace, depending on the student's needs. So they can say, hey, I want to follow this curriculum this way, even out of the box. Or they can say, hey, here's all the curriculum, go have some fun. And they can integrate gamification into it. And it's built in at the end of each lesson and it's age appropriate, or they can there's options to build in additional gaming that we offer if they want to incorporate that as kind of a bonus. So it allows a student to learn at their own pace and they can track all of that information and see where they need to help, where students are either getting behind or, okay, letting them do it their own way. We need to now structure this and pull it back together. So they have the options across the board.
That's fantastic. Let's go into just professional development then. Supporting teaching is obviously critical, right, for just anything that you're going to integrate successfully into a classroom. What professional development resources does typing.com provide to help educators effectively use the platform, and how do they go about doing it? Are there webinars, tutorials, certifications? I know we kind of talked a little bit when I met you at ISTE last June about this particular topic, and that's what I really love. So what can they get out of it in terms of professional development?
Yeah, so every client that comes on board gets access to an account manager that helps them go through an onboarding process, the training process, how to use the product, how to set it up properly, how to integrate properly. Beyond that, we have a series of videos that they can access on our, as a client. They're YouTube videos, and then we just created a whole bunch of new videos on how to, in case they say, hey, I need a touch up on this particular aspect on customization of curriculum. And they can click on that video, launch it, watch it, or they can reach out to our staff and our account managers, and they'll do it live. So they have the flexibility of, hey, I don't really want to talk to somebody. I want to talk to somebody. I want to do this during an odd hour where nobody's, 10 at night where nobody's going to be available to take call, or
where they're starting to plan for the next day, right?
That's exactly right. And so they have the flexibility of everything in between there, from live, personalized service to, hey, here's a library of videos and I need to touch up, or I've got a new teacher that needs to learn, and they can do it at their own pace.
Awesome. All right. Well, listen, we're going to take a quick break. More with Dan Trepanier right after this. Stay with us. Teachers, are you looking for resources that spark creativity and inspire learning? Look no further than Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers. From comprehensive lesson plans and interactive lab books to engaging informational test prep passages, Highly Motivated has everything you need to keep your students motivated and excited to learn. Whether it's a quick activity or a full unit, these resources are designed to save you time and help students succeed. Highly Motivated, motivating teaching resources that engage and inspire. Search Highly Motivated on Teachers Pay Teachers today. Welcome back to Classroom Dynamics. More now with Dan Trepanier of typing.com. So research often drives educational decisions. Is there any supporting data or research on the importance of keyboarding? I mean, I can just tell you, I'm sure without even the data, there's, we touched upon it already. There's important reasoning as to why you want to bring keyboarding into the classroom. But how does typing.com incorporate that research to ensure that its curriculum is effective and relevant and even up to date in terms of where the kids are in a 21st century classroom?
Absolutely. So the answer is yes. We have engaged with multiple third parties on things like efficacy studies, and we're exploring, updating that efficacy study. So groups like EdTech Recharge, for example, do efficacy studies, and they have one. We have one on a YouTube video that gives those results and talks about that. So on our website, you can find information around those studies. The other thing, there's a couple other things we do. We engage with another third party that follows or keeps us informed of all of the curriculum changes state by state. Now, those aren't that frequent, as you know, but they do let us know when things are coming up and changing so that we can stay on top of any curriculum changes that happens in any state. And that goes for legislation as well. And then the other way that we really keep on top of the market is our product team speaks to our customers on a regular basis. They will record those videos, we talk about them as a team, and we make changes to the product as needed. All of our product feature changes are driven by our customers and by the needs of the states that have curriculum changes. So we stay on top of those. And one of the things we're proud to say is we align with standards. We know we do because we keep on top of them on a regular basis. And when I write monthly, like it's frequent.
That's amazing because, really, I've used typing.com with my kids. Any typing program you put in front of them, they really do absorb and learn what's being shown to them, what they're practicing, what they're doing. Hand placement, how to properly sit at the computer. All of this plays a role in what they're going to be doing as a tool and a device to do the work that they need to do day in and day out. Especially with me, I'm in elementary school. You start looking into that junior high school, college and beyond worlds. Yeah. It gets even more intensive. That's such an important feature to have in terms of the kids, to be able to jump in there and really get just sucked into that world.
Yeah, it's great. I'm glad you use it with your kids. I have a son and a daughter that are 11 and 8. The 11-year-old now can type. The 8-year-old is in second grade and learning. And she has fun. She actually likes to sit down and use typing.com and then get to the game and make the monkey climb up the tree or whatever it is, whatever game is at the end. And she's so proud of herself that she got her 3 stars. And it's got to be engaging. It's got to be simple, but it's got to teach them how to do what they need to learn to do.
Right. I'm so glad you mentioned the games, because after that tutorial and then that practice, that's that really cool reward. I get to play this video game, arcade style looking game. Yes, you're still keyboarding, and yes, you're still working on the things you just practiced and learned, and they get like very competitive. I mean, you got to see that, but it gets loud at times, and it's a good loud. It's a solid, good, fun loud. They're having a ball, and then they come back to the next lesson where they start from that stage again, and they start working back up again. They really love it. I even love when the kids say, I can't do it. I'm having a hard time. Keep plugging, keep practicing, keep going. You're going to get it. And when they do, it's amazing.
They take off. Yeah, you see their speed and accuracy just soar once it clicks.
Right. And that's the one thing we always talk about is just accuracy. Get it right. The muscle memory will come into play. The speed will fall right into your lap. You won't even know how fast you're doing it because you're just automatically, it's going to happen. Yeah. And that's what I think, that's those amazing aha moments for the kids, not so much the teacher. It's fun for me to watch and see how that happens and plays out. But when you see them realize that, whole different ballgame.
Yeah. And we have additional products that are free. So Nitro Type, for example, is a racing game. I don't know if your kids have played that.
They love that one too.
That's when it gets accelerated, because now they have to type with speed and accuracy in order to stay in the race and to win the race. And every error slows their car down in the race. So that is one of the games I referred to as earlier. A lot of teachers say, hey, the reward is it's Friday. You get to play Nitro Type for 15, 20, 30 minutes because you met all your requirements for the week in your curriculum. And the kids love it. They eat it up.
When I learned how to type in high school, I'm going to date myself so much right now. Regular typewriter. This is so, I mean, you can't even make this up. I mean, traditionally, you think of a typing class. We had a much older lady as our teacher. You would think secretary-like.
Yes.
We all sat in these rows and had our keyboards, and if you messed up, you had to, scroll it up and white it out and wait for it to dry, right? And then roll it back and then, ding, and then go ahead, and you were almost afraid to make a move. And I think it hindered a lot of us with muscle memory because of it. Whereas now the kids can simply take their pinky and hit that backspace.
That's right.
And so I think that just naturally happens so much faster because, all right, they make a mistake and that muscle memory of that pinky just going right to that backspace kind of happens all by itself. And I think it really helps allow the kids to absorb what they're learning and have their muscle memory build faster than when it was when I was a kid, for sure.
Yeah. And the teachers have flexibility to allow the students to make mistakes and not force them to correct them. And what the product will actually do is create custom lessons based on what we call trouble keys. So if they're constantly messing up, W, then it will create a custom lesson to work specifically on hitting W properly. And so that way they don't have to even hit back and correct it. Right. Again, it's up to the teacher. They can do that. They can say, hey, I want you to correct as you go, or I want to see where you're making the most mistakes. And the product automatically generates these custom lessons for those kids that are struggling with specific keys.
And for teachers, that's their differentiation in that particular lesson.
That's exactly right.
Typing.com offers more than just typing practice. So there is more to this. It includes lessons on test preparation, creative writing, coding basics, and even more that we'll probably get into in a moment. How do these additional features enhance a school's curriculum and help prepare students for future academic and career opportunities? But before you answer that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll answer that and a whole lot more with Dan Trepanier of typing.com. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, Adam Todd here, and I have to tell you about my absolute favorite must-have accessory, the Data Keeper Plus from Higher Ground Gear. Whether you're a busy teacher, a tech enthusiast, or just someone who wants to keep their devices safe and organized, this protective cover is a total game changer. With its sleek design, ultra-tough materials, and built-in storage for your essentials, it's the ultimate way to protect your tech. I take mine everywhere, and it always keeps my gear safe and looking brand new. Head over to hggear.com today and grab your Data Keeper Plus. You'll be glad you did. Data Keeper Plus, because your tech deserves higher ground. Every classroom has the potential to be extraordinary, and the Logitech Reach Adjustable Content Camera is your partner in making that happen. With its flexible arm and clear video, you can showcase everything from detailed drawings to live experiments, ensuring every student is engaged and involved. Whether you're teaching in person or online, Logitech Reach helps you connect with your students in a whole new way. Ready to take your lessons further? Visit logitech.com/reach and elevate your classroom to a whole new level. Welcome back to Classroom Dynamics, where today we're talking with Dan Trepanier of Typing.com. Before the break, we were about to get into how additional features Typing.com offers in order to enhance a school's curriculum and in turn help prepare students for future academic and career opportunities. So how does Typing.com do this when it starts to branch out besides just the typing portion of that?
Sure. So one of the things that we are adamant about when we add on features is that they revolve around the computer and the keyboard. And so we're not veering too far off from the keyboard itself and forcing the students to still use the keyboard in order to use those additional features within the product. However, they take them in various directions based on what customers have told us that they need, or they have to go purchase other products to do. And so, for example, you mentioned coding. We're not coding club. We're not going to go down into the kind of deep world of coding for any of the kids, but it is going to teach the kids the basics of coding. And it gets more advanced as they get older so that they can learn the ins and outs of coding. Is that in order to code, you got to use a keyboard. So it fits into that. When you talk about digital literacy and knowing what's in the computer, what's happening on the internet, what the particular components of the computer are, again, it's right in line with using that keyboard. So everything's one degree of separation from using a keyboard. However, schools and districts are going out today and having to find ways to solve those problems. And we can just build that in as feature sets and as curriculum and make it part of what we're doing. Creative writing, test prep, like you said, they're taking tests on the keyboard. We're not giving them the information for the test. We're teaching them to prepare for the test using a keyboard.
Right.
So everything revolves around those capabilities for the student and what they'll learn, including things like computer applications, how to use Word, Excel, how to use different applications that they're going to use when they leave school. We teach them that inside one of what we call computer applications module.
Yeah, it's a funny story. When I first started teaching keyboarding, I started to teach keyboarding because I was starting to teach coding. And when, like you just mentioned it, if you're coding, you're using a keyboard. And to watch some of the kids struggle, like literally go with their finger up and down the rows to find a particular symbol or a letter that they needed to use for their coding was painful to watch. So I started to teach the kids how to keyboard. And my principal at the time said to me, I don't want you to teach keyboarding. That's a waste. And I said, no, you have no idea. And I explained why. The same story. The coding, they're using a keyboard. It's taken them 5 minutes just to find the question mark, or just use any simple set of keys. It's impossible to get through a period. And lo and behold, that afternoon, we got an email, just coincidentally, of course, from the state talking about how keyboarding was now going to be part of a technology curriculum. And she forwarded to me and she said, boy, you were ahead of the game. And I was like, hey, but you know what it is when you're in that particular situation, you're in the trenches like that, and you see that the students need something specific to do a job.
Yeah.
They need that skill. You're going to just implement it anyway because it just makes logical sense. So that's what I did. And I was glad I did that because everything since then has really lent to keyboarding. And now I start every year off the first 6 weeks of just keyboarding. That's all I do with grades 2 through 5, just keyboarding in the beginning of the year. Fun, interactive, and of course it ends up being very important.
Yeah. And teachers will do that, won't they? They will find a way. They will scour to find tools if they're not provided by the school or district. And I don't know where that difference came about with keyboarding, that administrators felt like they didn't need to teach kids anymore, but yet provided them with a Chromebook or a MacBook or some sort of keyboarded device and said, oh, they're fine. We don't need to teach them this. I don't know where that went sideways. Yeah. But the teachers, the ones actually working with the students, are screaming now. They're raising their hands going, hey, they're henpecking. Like you said, they know the knowledge. They have it all in their head. they can't get it down on this device that we plopped in front of them.
The kids
Really
laugh.
is a simple thing.
The kids laugh when I say that. I don't want to see the chicken pecking. No chicken pecks. They laugh and they know what I'm talking about. Putting their hands on the home row keys and getting it right. And that's the most important part. If you do it right to start, you're never ending up in that situation where you're typing with two fingers or one finger. And I get the whole, sometimes you're holding a phone and you're keyboarding with your thumbs. But to be honest with you, if you know where the letters are on the keyboard, you're going to be able to keyboard with two thumbs while holding your cell phone. So there's importance in that too, in terms of communication. But it's so funny that's how it usually works out.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like my son can out thumb me for sure, but I on a keyboard, I've got him hands down.
Yeah, that's funny. So accessibility and equity are a huge deal in education today. How does typing.com ensure that all students, regardless of their background or their learning needs, have access to high quality teaching in terms of keyboarding and digital literacy instruction? How does that all play together with typing.com?
Yeah, we've incorporated quite a bit of accessibility features into typing.com. So allowing visual, audio, a combination of both within the product, again, all customizable to turn off and turn on, that allow students from all over to be able to practice typing on a keyboard. We have a number of state schools for the blind and deaf, for example, that use typing.com because it has all these accessibility features built into them. They've been tested, gone through the process to verify them and make sure that we have what we need so that every student can learn. And that goes all the way up to adult learners. So it doesn't just stop, particularly around the accessibility features, or it's not just for school, K-12 schools. Adult learners have that need as well, and it goes all the way through to adult learner.
That's amazing. Those are pretty cool programs.
Yes,
they are amazing.
Yeah.
That really is. If you really think about it, I don't think anyone really thinks about when they're keyboarding for students with those kind of special needs. They need to use this as well.
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, just because they can't see or can't hear doesn't mean they shouldn't be able to use any of the products that they have to use in everyday life. And
100%.
So giving them the ability to do that is extends the reach of that technology and extends the reach of their ability to be successful in whatever they choose.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, thank you for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. I really appreciate the time. Typing.com is clearly more than just a typing tool. It's a comprehensive platform equipping students and educators with essential skills for the digital age and a 21st century classroom that seems to get more important at times as time goes on, especially with things like we mentioned with coding and these other things that they're doing, like content creation and just communication as a whole. Before we go, tell everyone where they can go to find out more about typing.com.
Yeah, this one's easy. It's literally typing.com. At typing.com, you'll see all the links to take you based on what your needs are, through the resources on the page, through the information for students, teachers, homeschoolers, etc. They can find everything they need on typing.com.
And social media?
Yes, we do. We do have some Facebook account, and we are actually working with a PR firm to bolster that. So expect more around the social media, around Instagram, around or X, whatever it's called nowadays, et cetera. But yes, we will have a bigger social media presence as we continue to reach out to students and teachers.
Well, listen, for those of you who have been listening, thank you for tuning in today, and make sure that you share what you've learned or any takeaways or reflections that you've had, and tag us on X at Class Dynamics or Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. You can also find out all of our links, including information about our sponsors, on Linktree at Classroom Dynamics. We always look forward to hearing your thoughts on our episodes and sharing the different ways in which you're using what you've learned. You can also help support Classroom Dynamics with as little as $3 a month at classroomdynamicspodcast.buzzsprout.com. Once again, I'd like to thank Dan Trepanier from typing.com for joining us today on Classroom Dynamics. It has been so great to have you on. I'm glad I met with you and had a chance to talk with you at ISTE and talk about typing.com and all about it. I think it's such an important skill. I'm a huge fan of typing.com, and so are my students. It's really a lot of fun, and I think for sure kids need to type. They need to practice that keyboarding. It's going to lead down the road. At some point, they're going to incorporate typing into their lives. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's been a fun conversation.
And that brings us to the end of this episode of Classroom Dynamics, where knowledge and inspiration meets innovation. I hope you've enjoyed today's discussion and found it both insightful and uplifting. As always, my goal is to provide you with practical strategies, engaging stories, and powerful insights that can fuel your motivation as an educator. I believe when knowledge and inspiration do come together, incredible things can happen in your classroom. And for all of you who think it's too late to strengthen your craft, I challenge you to make it your mission to do so. You've worked hard to get to where you are today, and it's never too late to infuse new life into your work. So why not make today that day to do so? I'm Adam Todd, and you've been listening to Classroom Dynamics, a teacher podcast. You can follow Classroom Dynamics on X at Class Dynamics and on Instagram at Classroom Dynamics Podcast. If you haven't already, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. We'll be back soon with more captivating conversations, inspiring stories, and strategies that you can implement into your everyday routines. Until then, keep igniting that spark in your classroom and never stop believing in the incredible impact that you have as an educator. You're more powerful and inspirational than you think. Did you miss our episode with Elijah Richardson? Well, if so, we headed to Queensland, Australia to meet 11-year-old environmentalist Elijah Richardson, a champion for the Great Barrier Reef and third-place winner of the 2024 International Young Eco Hero Awards. As featured in Trust Your Wild Side, Elijah's passion for ocean conservation and youth activism is inspiring a global wave of change. Don't miss this must-listen episode for educators, parents, and anyone who believes in the power of young voices to protect our planet.
Well, I'm an ambassador for Coral Watch, which is an organisation that is helping reefs around the world by using their Coral Watch health charts to monitor the reef, and also by educating people about the importance and how to protect the reefs. And I'm also an ambassador for Tangaroa Blue, which is another amazing organisation that is helping the ocean environment by organising big beach cleans, and then they sort it all and they get tons of rubbish. And when I say tons, I mean tons. The amount is absolutely astounding.